I am talking to Mark van Rijmenam. Normally I had to go to Australia to talk to him about big data, but now we're into the blockchain world and he returned to the Netherlands. And I hear that within a short period of time you're going to be Dr. Mark van Rijmenam. What happened and what's your PhD about?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I heard that I officially completed it. I have to wait a few more weeks till I can officially call myself doctor. But yes, I did a research at the University of Technology in Sydney on how big data, blockchain, and AI are changing organizations, and then specifically strategic management, organization design, and governance. So it's a lot of buzzwords, but
yes,
very
you are the
interesting
expert
research.
in buzzwords. Well, I know you from big data and analytics. That's been your thing, and you wrote some books about it, and you did presentations, and then you added blockchain, and now you added AI, and now you made it into the organization of the future. Before we talk about the future of the organization and all that stuff, your previous book was really interesting. You had a big book about blockchain for good and how to solve real practical problems. And you took the United Nations issues and how to apply blockchain with that. So, what areas did you research? How blockchain could play a role?
Yeah, so the book Blockchain Transforming Your Business in Our World, I co-wrote it with a barrister, Dr. Philippa Ryan, also from Australia, and we really looked at how can we use blockchain to not only for financial gain or not only for cryptocurrencies, but actually to improve our world. So we looked at identity, because I think that's the most important thing to solve first.
For all organizations,
for everything.
Without identity, everything is just loose sand. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we look at poverty, we look at climate change, we look at tax evasion and corruption, we look at democratic processes, we look at censorship, and we look at fair trade. So how can we make fair trade really fair again?
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic experience to research how can blockchain actually contribute to improving our world and not only improving our business.
Yeah, okay. So you researched, you went to all these organizations and interviewed them. What are the top 3 most active organizations in this world who are basically trying to apply blockchain to solve these problems?
There are actually a lot of the big organizations such as the United Nations, Worldbank. They are working on blockchain. They are experimenting how they can use blockchain. You see a lot of startups working in this area as well, trying to whether it's blockchain for remittances, whether it's blockchain for helping the unbanked or helping those without an identity.
Yeah, the Red Cross, I think, is also busy with that. I mean, they go into a lot of places. They try to get identity from people, to restore it. And then they leave the place and have to delete all the data. And they cannot give it to people who really need the identity. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a real challenge. So in the book we first looked at identity, and then from there on looked at all the other problems, and we call them wicked problems. Because it's a wicked problem is something that's really difficult to solve because there are a lot of stakeholders involved. But a wicked problem is also something quite negative. But it's also really wicked if you can solve it. So
it's really and then so I mean, a lot of these issues are, of course, if you can solve those kinds of issues, company problems are easy, right? I mean, because companies probably are trying to get more effective and more efficient and make money. They're much simpler problem. What did you learn from the state in which blockchain solutions are in at the moment? And can you mention 1 or 2 real interesting examples which you come in?
Yeah, so I think we're still really early stage in terms of blockchain. I think the other day I wrote an article about why the crypto winter is good for us, because I think we have now more attention of actually solving and building the technology. The technology is still going quite slow in terms of development, but there's a lot of people working really hard on it. So it's a matter of a couple of years before I think we have the right technology to solve this. And you also see that happening in enterprises. You see more and more organizations building proof of concepts and working with these solutions. From an enterprise perspective, I find the supply chain and logistics very promising. A lot of things happening, and it's also a very obvious use case.
Yeah, obviously.
The other day, someone told me a story. If you want to sell a bouquet of flowers, I think we're Dutch, a bouquet of flowers, you need a pile of paper the size of the bouquet of flowers. which if you think about it, that's it's ridiculous.
Well, they always say that. I mean, last year we had it with cars. If you transport cars, the amount of stack of papers that with a container, the cost of the documents are about half the size. I mean, it's a paper, troublesome world. But I mean, in the blockchain for good, what is a good example? What did you go like, wow? Is there already something, or is everything pilot, early stage, and not inspiring yet?
Most of them are pilot stage. I find helping the unbanked really interesting, because if you can help people get a bank account.
No, we know that, but where did you see a good example?
Where did I see a good example? I think the company. I have to double check on the company name, Humanic. I think they're doing really well.
Humanic, I know them.
On this, and Bancor, I think, if I'm correct. I think they are really building solutions to solve these issues. But also, if you look at climate change, which is an interesting one in Australia, where you have the company Power Ledger, who really tries to help people transact solar energy with each other.
That energy world is made for decentralization and huge amount of different energy productions, and
smart grids and everything.
You need, it's really also the structure of the physical world of energy goes to many energy producers, and lots of very unpredictable. So the blockchain is interesting to make a lot of people work together. Okay, so that is your old book. Been there, done that. Didn't make a whole lot of money, but you had a lot of experience, and now you have your PhD on analytics, AI, and the blockchain, and to create the organization of tomorrow.
Yeah.
When is that book coming out, or is the book already going out, and is it PhD language, or is it can normal people read it?
Normal people can read it. It will be published in Q2, so either probably June or July. It is called The Organization of Tomorrow, and it really helps people and organizations understand how can they use these technologies to be ready for tomorrow. I believe we live in exponential times, and if you can combine when you get the convergence of these technologies, you sort of require a perspective shift for your organization. You sort of gestalt shift, where you move from seeing the duck to seeing the rabbit.
Okay.
And that's what the book is all about. How to do that, and how to remain relevant in tomorrow's world.
Okay. So you have all the. I mean, it's interesting. You come from this big data, and you combine it, and you have your PhD to prove that it makes something that some people at least thought it was worth a PhD, and so it's coming in Q2. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon like your previous book. I will make sure that in the notes.
You can already find it on Amazon.
Yeah. Is there also give me if there's a presentation somewhere where you go into more in depth of this book, because I thought that is really during my blockchain conference last year, which I also will put in the notes, that we had a blockchain for good session, and the United Nations came, and the Worldbank came, and people from who work for identity in refugees came, and it was the most captivating, interesting part of the whole conference, next to logistics and all kinds of interesting financial products and energy products. Very useful, makes money, efficiency, but the blockchain, the wicked problems are really interesting, so I'm going to want to pay as much attention to it. Hey, you moved from Australia, a country where we had 30 years no recession, and and great climate. Why are you coming? Why did you come back to the Netherlands?
Well, two ways. Most of my business is in Europe and America, and we're building a new startup called Imagine, which focuses on improving the academic publishing world. And most of the universities are in Europe and America. So within 5 hours flight, you have 1,000 universities here, and in Australia, within 5 hours flight, you have like a dozen universities. So it sort of makes sense to move back to Europe.
Okay, Imagine, and that is the startup.
Yeah.
It's based on a platform which you've created before, right? And what does that platform do, and what does your startup do?
So Datafloq is the content platform where it's going to be built on. That's just a content platform around emerging tech, where we have like 500 authors from around the world sharing their knowledge. And now we're building Imagine based on my PhD, where I noticed how flawed the academic publishing world is. You take a lot of time writing a paper, and then the publisher says,
it's horrible. Everybody knows how terrible. And there's a lot of open source now in that arena, and it's getting some traction. What are you going to contribute?
So we want to sort of focus on the entire value chain. So improving not only writing but also citing, also peer reviewing, and also publishing an academic paper to really simplify it and make it easier and transparent. And most importantly, move away from the journal impact factor to an individual impact factor where the academic is in full control.
So you're going to try to make a reputation-based system, and everybody, so the value of my paper depends on who reviewed it and who else have reviewed it. Okay. Does it have a connection to the blockchain, or is it just a central database, or are you copying the information to some kind of a database, the blockchain thing?
I think you should really practice what you preach. I preach about the convergence of big data, blockchain, and AI. So that will be, of course, completely part of the platform. Use blockchain to really give control and traceability to what's going on through a paper, recording the copyright on it, using AI to connect academics with each other. So yeah, there's a real, truly converging everything that I've done during my PhD and putting it into
Okay, and now
practice.
you're going to put it to practice and not only do presentations but have a product. Okay, so that's going to be one hell of a job, because you need network effect, you need to have all that information about all these people, you need to be big enough to be relevant, and a lot of that information and all that information is locked up in silos from Elsevier and other companies. But I'm sure the universities will be excited. How are you going to fund your company?
So we're talking to universities at the moment, and we're looking for investors. So if you know anyone that want to help out change the rules in the academic publishing world, let me know, because that's definitely something that we need.
Yeah. What kind of money are you looking for?
At the moment, we're looking for $1 million to start building the platform and connecting to universities.
Okay. Well, wonderful. It's nice to have you back here, Dr. Mark. And then that's really, and we're going to see your product Q2. Well, we're going to see your book, your PhD book, Q2, and when are we going to see the first minimal viable product?
So we're launching a minimum viable product in 2 to 3 months, which is based on Datafloq. It's a browser plugin which allows people to rate articles based on quality, fake news, and plagiarism, to sort of build a global reputation index for authors, a sort of IMDb, but then for articles, which actually doesn't exist yet. And that will be launched in 2 to 3 months, which we'll use to test our hypothesis for Imagine.
Okay, wonderful. Good to have you back in the Netherlands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vincent.